beautiful wife, Amanda. Nice to see you,
Hello.
love. We are here to talk to you about
Thinking bigger.
let me get this other platform started. There we go. I am fuzzy on there for some reason. Oh, no, I'm clear. The concept today is thinking bigger. I'm going to let my wife throw a little intro in here, and then I'll dive in and support her. Go ahead, love.
So we were talking before this video and trying to figure out what juicy topic we were going to talk about. And one of the ideas that came up was thinking bigger, because we have so many conversations around this topic and realizing that if you're not achieving the goals that you want to achieve or living the vision that you have set out for your life, it's because you're thinking too small. And this is such a thread in many conversations, whether it's with coaching clients or with students in some of our programs. And the thing that we do notice with the students and with our clients is once they start to expand their vision, what's possible, tap into more resources and creativity and truly their strengths and skill set, and they absolutely think bigger, they end up landing upon a goal or a vision that they didn't even think was possible. And so the end result, your net is so much more positive than what you even see a goal at today. So the idea of thinking bigger and how transformational that in and of itself can be on your life, your business, your relationships is really incredible. But if we limit ourselves, the only reason we are where we are today is because of the limitations we have in our minds and our thinking and our possibilities and opportunities. It's all because of the limitations we put in place, or because we're thinking too small, even if we're thinking big. So this idea, if, what's that quote? It's like, if you shoot for the moon and at least you'll land upon the stars. Like, even if you miss, you'll land upon the stars, or something like that. It's so beautiful. And it's really that concept of, if your goal was here, but you started thinking bigger and really stretching, you'll, even if you fall short of that, you still net are above where your current thinking is right now. And that's the real beauty of this. But I'm interested to know, Jarek, what this is for you, what it means for you. Why is this important?
I find it interesting. First off, Joe Moffitt said he joined and he's focused on losing weight, and somehow he's turned into this conversation today. So, Joe, we're definitely here to help you think bigger and step into that next level of who you are. So, the concept of thinking bigger is something I run into over and over and over again. I'll give you a couple examples. We had a couple wonderful clients, some friends of ours who are now near and dear to heart, who they came to us after leaving corporate America. They wanted to start what they called a boutique consulting firm. Two ladies, power, what is it, boss babes, gonna take over the consulting space. And in 3 years, they absolutely freaking are boss babes. They grew 2,600% in their business. It's remarkable. And we looked at that and I was like, holy smokes. And they'll always say, we're very grateful to working with you. You helped us think much bigger than we initially planned. We planned on taking on a couple, side consulting things and, maybe working a little bit here and there. And now they're one of Fast Company's fastest 5,000 growing companies in the country. It's unbelievable. I was talking to someone that was referred over to us just a few weeks ago. This gentleman's built up a portfolio of companies. And I asked him, how is he doing? And he's currently around, let's say, 25, 30 million a year in revenue. And they said their big goal, the dream, the vision, the North Star is to get to 100 million. Whew. And I laughed and I said, that's it. I'm not to be rude. And there's nothing wrong with 100 million. But when you have the skill set that you have and you have the pace and the momentum that you have, and you've built this, from 12 to 20 or 12 to 25 in the last couple of years, you've doubled the business. Why in the world would you only aim for 100? The most consistent thing I hear when you go interview people who are wildly successful, and I'm talking just business terms right now. We'll talk about relationship and health in just a second. But when you're talking just business or just money, the people who are wildly successful, like way beyond, what most people imagine is even possible or feasible. They always say, if I wish I knew when I started that it was going to land up here, I would have thought way bigger. It's the most consistent thing you hear of people who are wildly successful. If I knew what I know now, I would have aimed way bigger than this. Because here's a quote you want to write down for everyone who's watching. If you're on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, wherever you're at, write this down. Someone type in the comments for me. It takes just as much effort to do a small deal as it does to do a big deal. It takes just as much effort to go close a deal for $100 as it does $1,000, as it does for 10 million, as it does for 100 million, as it does for 2.56 billion. Just as much effort. Now, it might take a slightly different skill set or network or opportunity, but just as much effort, just as much time, just as much resource to put these together. And so the question is, if you were to close your eyes and kind of tune into yourself, tune into your own heart or brain or whatever you ask for guidance, and ask yourself, what is the biggest deal I see that I currently feel that I'm capable of doing? What's the largest deal? If you trust your instincts, you trust your gut, you're truly honest. What's the biggest deal you can imagine yourself doing right now? And throw it down. Throw it in the comments for me. I want to read a few of these. Thank you, Madeline, for chatting, putting that in the chat box for us. I want to see a few of these. What's the biggest deal? And here's what I want to know. What's the industry that you would do the deal in? What size is the overall deal? And how much net would you make from doing this deal? I want to know those three things. What industry you do the deal in, what's the overall revenue generated from the deal, and what net would you get to keep from doing it? And I'm telling you, when we read these, it's one of those things that you'll smile and you'll notice that whatever is your truth, you'll oftentimes think, that's it. That's it. Now, I've been blessed in life. I have two humans, but one is more important to me than all the others, who, no matter how big of a deal I'm doing, like I'll tell you, I signed a contract for the biggest deal of my life. I think it was earlier this year or at the end of last year. And I'll never forget, I have the paperwork out. We're signing it. I feel so damn proud of myself, dude. I mean, we're doing a deal well over $1 million. Whew. I'm signing a contract, seven-figure contract, signing this stuff. We're wiring money out, doing all this stuff. And I look over at my wife, and she gives me the sweetest look in the world. And what shoots out of her mouth is, but we're playing so small in life. Don't you think? And I looked at her like, seriously? I just signed the biggest deal I'm sending the biggest bank wire I've ever sent in my life. What are you talking about? And she's, I know, but in like the grand scheme of things, doesn't it just feel like we're playing small? I said, shit, I'll never have to worry about someone in my life reminding me that there's always an opportunity to play bigger. And love, I love to hear the brilliance behind that. I can tell you it's her tenacity for life. It's her love of going after what's possible. It's her drive and passion to experience all that's available. It's not out of judgment or spite or talking shit or anything like that. Truthfully, I really feel in her heart of hearts, there's a genuineness to it of seeing what's possible and saying, why not? If it's out there, let's go do it. Let's go try it. Let's go experience it. Let's go see what that's like. But I'd love to know, where does that come from for you? What is that drive that I find it inspiring, luckily, and I always. But where does that come from?
When I was younger, there was a class that I took. It was like, I want to say in middle school, and I ended up learning about different class systems and, that exist, and some you're born into, right? Like in India, um,
Yeah.
and also in the States, for example, in many different countries. And so I remember learning about this class system. And at the time, actually, for I think most of my childhood, we were on food stamps and welfare and free lunches and all that jazz. And without it, we might not have food, right? So it definitely helped us. And I happened to be in these classes where I was in, what's it called? Like the gifted program, like where, I don't know, supposedly smarter
Special
kids
ed?
are in. No, not special ed, but um,
AP.
yeah, I was in like
Sorry.
some, what?
You said gifted. I didn't know which type.
Gifted, like gifted and talented. And so you're
Got
in
it.
like more advanced
The
classes.
advanced classes.
This is just in middle school, right?
Mhm.
And I'm kind of looking around at a lot of kids that are in these classes with me, and they're not all like whatever. So they live on the lake, they have boats, big houses. They're definitely not standing in the free lunch line. There's some of my friends as well, and I just started to notice these differences, but there wasn't all that much different, to be honest. Like they were the same. Like their parents work, so do mine. Uh, like all of these things, except that we, for some reason, didn't have much and they had much more. And so, with that, and I'm learning about these class systems, the idea was the thing that really stuck out to me at this young age was whatever class system you're born into, you're likely to just stay in. It's very hard to get out of a class system. And I'm looking at the students next to me before lunch, before I go stand in the free lunch line, and my parents are like just trying to make ends meet. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. That's never going to happen. There's no way I'm going to repeat this cycle of being living at this poverty level or something, or this super like low class when it comes, like my parents are working incredibly hard and so are my friends. What's the difference? And so I started to take just clues of what they did. They did go and get college degrees. I don't necessarily think that's required now, but in my childhood, with my child brain at the point, it was like, okay, I need to go to college. No one in my family has done that. I need to do this. I need to do this because I want to break out of this cycle. I want to change this because I don't even want my family to stay in this class system, right? And this like whatever. I don't want to get into the details of it because it gets me really emotional. But the I knew I wanted to change things for my family then and my family that I would create, our kids, right? And so with that, that's really it. And so I have this programming of, and you've said this as well. They have two eyes, two ears, a nose, a mouth. Like they have a brain. I have a brain. Like if they can do it, why can't I? And so that really, like you've said that. So you also have this thinking. I just tend to have a lot of fire behind it because it was a very young kind of awakening to like, oh, there's no way this is repeating itself. Like it stops here. My
Mhm.
parents have the heart, the love, the work ethic, all of those things. So there's no reason. And so I just need to do this a little bit different or better or something. And I'm going to take all those beautiful gifts they've given me, which is the heart and the work ethic, and I'm going to do something with that in a way to really challenge that it doesn't have to be like this. And I come from a place in the Midwest, which has is known for work ethic. But one thing I've noticed, and I love it, there's beautiful values, but there's this fixed mindset that kind of comes along with it. And that's something I just refuse to subscribe to. And so the long story shorter is that noting that a fixed mindset will never serve you. So if you're like, and so it's challenged me to adopt a growth mindset. And it's beautiful because I look at things and I'm just like, okay, this is what's possible. And then I look out, not in a way of competition. I look at it as a source of inspiration. If they have two eyes, ears, and a nose, and a mouth, and a brain, like they can do it, so can I. And so it's just one of those things where it's not that like more is better or it's never enough. It's not even coming from that. It's more of I want to prove to myself what's possible. And I want to pave this pathway to set, again, my family up for success or our family up for success. um, as well as not even give this to our son, but to show him what's possible, right? And so we will teach these things that I was not taught. And so I think that when I say playing small, and where does that come from? It comes from knowing that we can absolutely achieve anything we set our mind out to, our mind to rather. And so I just challenge us always, myself and you. Sorry, not sorry. I love you. I challenge us always to not get not complacent, but almost like content in that, like, oh, we're good here. Because I think that oh, we're good here can leave some unfulfilled dreams or not tap into our highest potential or prove what's possible for the next generation. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So something like that. That's kind of a really long-winded answer.
I
There's
get
so
it. I
very
had
good
it. So
question.
thank you for sharing that, love. I have a slightly different experience. So, um, that experience you went through was what my mom and dad went through. And they both wanted to change things from how that was when they grew up, and how they wanted it to be different. I did too, in different ways though. There are different parts of my life that I went, ooh, I want those to be different. And so I take a lot of pride in some of the choices I've made as a father, or as a husband, or as in different, my health, stuff like that. Um, what I find interesting though, and I love this about you, is that desire to not only do it for yourself and for us, but to get other people to do it too. And that's where you and I have a deep alignment in this, where I spent the first part of my career figuring out, I want to be able to work from anywhere. I want to be able to have total freedom. Freedom was more important to me than money. Because people
Yeah.
always say, I want to get more money and more money and more money and bigger and scale the business and more. And I'm like, well, what do you think you're going to get? And they're like, I want freedom. Because when you have all that money, then you have freedom. And I was like, sometimes, or you're chained to a business that requires you to be there forever if you don't do it right. And I was like, I want freedom. If that's the end result, I said, why don't we aim for freedom instead of just stuff? And so we can get tons of stuff along the way, which luckily, knock on wood, we've been able to do so. But why isn't freedom the highest priority there? And so I built this whole business from scratch. I wish I had a picture of it. It's kind of funny. If anyone's on here, Val or Bonnie or anyone who was my first roommates when I started my business, I lived in the front den of a house. I had 3 roommates. I'll never forget when I moved in. It was 11 p.m. on a Thursday. Luckily, my friend Bonnie said, "Oh, I have a room available." I showed up, and she's like, "Well, not till this weekend because the other girl doesn't move out yet, but maybe you could stay in the den." So I dumped a bunch of clothes as my blankets and slept under them. And I'll never forget the first day I woke up and I heard high heels clicking down the hallway. The door opened, the door shut. I heard 3 steps back, and then I heard someone whisper, "Who's the homeless guy in the den?" And I said, luckily we became friends after that, but that was my start. That was my room, my office, my business. Everything started right there in that little room. And the dream at the time was, I want to be able, number one, highest and most important, I want to be able to help people every day. My first real job after security at Blockbuster Video, my first actual job was in a nonprofit. And I loved being able to help people every day. I loved going to work knowing that all the time, all the effort, all the energy, the whole point was to make someone's life a little better. And by the end of that day, someone's life in some way, some shape, some form will be better because of the work we did. And I thought it was cool. The only thing I didn't necessarily love was the paycheck. I was like, well, this is kind of rough. Why do people who do such great work get paid so very little, it seems? And people who do all this other shit make a ton of money, but these guys get paid pennies. And then everyone's like, well, it's not about the money. It's about the work. I'm like, I agree, but we should make some money too. And so I had this conflict. And I remember I first ran across the concept of coaching, where they were focused on helping others and they made better money, not all the money in the world, but they made better money than nonprofits. And I was like, wait a minute, you get paid to help people and you make better? That's great. it's still in the helping profession. So I always draw a big heart, and I put, nurses, doctors, nonprofits, coaches. I put all these people in the helping profession. And I'm not talking about the Instagram coaches on a jet telling you to take their course and get rich kind of crap. I'm saying people who genuinely have the right heart, who genuinely want to help. That is the goal, to help others. That is the top priority. That is the most important part. And that's what drew me to it. As I said, what's most important is we can help others. And then what's second most important was freedom, the ability to do it anywhere, anytime, any place. And my wife tells me this all the time. Besides, we're playing small, she also tells me, Jarek Robbins, you set up one hell of a cool life, man. I mean, we go for walks for a few hours on Monday and Friday mornings. We go surfing together. We go hiking. We go hang out at waterfalls. We live on a tropical island. We're getting ready to spend a couple months in South Africa at a house we're going to build down there for, with each other and for each other. We have friends coming with us. And so I've worked from a picnic table in Costa Rica running my business, tethering Wi-Fi off someone's cell phone, doing a training for a global bank. We've worked on a cruise ship, sitting on a balcony off the coast of Monaco, teaching events and traveling. This work has taken us all over the globe to focus on helping people in all different regions of the world. If anyone's watching from Australia, I'm talking with a group right now who wants to fly us down and do a 3-city tour down there. If you're in the Netherlands or UK, I have a group over there wanting us to fly over and go do a training. In talks with a group in Saudi Arabia who wants to come do a 3-city tour with us. So we've been privileged. It's taken us all over the globe to work with people. We have active clients in 135 countries around the world, which we've never been to 135 countries. It's amazing. People use our work in all those places. It's a blessing. And at this stage of life, we're still super young. We're only 40. And what's fun is what lights me up most used to be, checking off another city we've gone to, or speaking at another event, or, getting to speak to a whole stadium. 15,000 people in a stadium was like, oh, this is so cool. It was all the things we could accomplish. And at this stage of life, what's really cool is empowering others to go do that. So taking people who have the right heart is the number one thing we look for. We weed people out all day long. We say no a lot because it's just not the right fit. People coming in for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But when we find people with the right heart and they really care, they genuinely want to help others, then transferring our knowledge, our skills, our tool sets to them, to give them the tools to go make that difference in other people's lives. And what used to be exciting is when we got a client testimonial that said, I grew my business 2,600%, or, I've went from scratch. We have another client, Nick, who grew a business from $0 to $1 million in revenue with 50% profit, only working 20 hours a week because he really wanted to spend time with his children. We have other clients we've helped grown 50% in revenue and 171% in net profit and 192% in profitability. We've done this over and over again, and it's exciting for us to see those testimonials. If you want to see them, go to jarekrobbins.com, scroll down. You'll see tons of testimonials of people's businesses and life and health and relationships we've helped. But what's more inspiring to us at this stage is when the people we've trained send in their testimonials. And I get to hear that Matt, who introduced us to one of his clients, do you remember how much weight that guy lost? Was it 50
pounds?
Look, I mean, he's coached someone and lost over 100 pounds. And then he sent us this video the other day, and he was a physical personal trainer who did one-on-one physical training in a physical location. And his dream was to be able to move to the beach with his wife, but he was stuck in a physical place. And he came and took the Performance Coach University with us. He learned the skill set, learned the tools, not only enhanced and bettered his personal training physically with people, but it also allowed him to create some leverage to do it location independent. And he just sent us a message the other day that him and his wife are moving to the beach.
And tripled their revenue.
And tripled their revenue. I mean, I was more excited about their freedom in their life, but tripled their revenue and moving to the beach. I think that's pretty freaking cool. Marcus, he graduated. He's an amazing human being. He's done so much. He's a veteran, former special operator and pararescue jumper, and he came through the course. And this guy has a full roster. He's got people lined up waiting to work with him. One of my favorite people in the world. He's one of our neighbors part of the year down here in Puerto Rico. Naeem, when I met him, he was, living at home and trying to dream of moving to the city, which we helped him do. And after moving to the city, then he wanted to dream of traveling. So he traveled the world for 3 years as a professional trainer and speaker. Then he really wanted to live somewhere cool. So he came and became our neighbor and had a, oceanfront condo with endless views of the ocean. And he's built this business that he's extremely proud of. And now he coaches some of the top people on earth in crypto. They all reach out to him and he shows them how to absolutely dial themselves in at the highest level. And he gets phenomenal results. And so our pride, our excitement, our joy first was figuring out how to create time freedom in our own life and financial freedom where we could travel and work from anywhere and have the time through our business being leveraged a bit where we could go do fun stuff. And at this stage, I looked around and I said, okay, we kind of figured it out. We have plenty of time, plenty of money. We can work from anywhere in the world. Let's go do it. And so now, like I said, we leave on Friday. We're going to be in Florida for a couple of days, New York for a couple of days. Then we're going to go down to South Africa for 2 months. And then I noticed last year when we went, I was like, what would make this really cool? If we had people with us, if we had great people with huge hearts who are passionate about helping people and making a difference, who are into eating healthy and living healthy, who we could say, hey, we're going to be here for 2 months. Come down and hang. And they'd be like, of course, when and where, let's go. And they too could do that. And so what's fun is we put out a internal handpicked special invite to our community. And I think there's like 30 people coming with us this trip. And I was like, this is so cool. We're going to all go on safari, possibly go great white shark diving, have fun hanging out in community, hanging with each other. It's not a seminar. I'm not going to talk for 7 days like I used to. It's community. We're going to hang out together. We're going to do fun shit. We're going to laugh and learn and share. And we have fun questions we have for every meal we do and ways to connect with each other. But the key is a handful of people still told me the same thing. Either, ooh, wow, geez, a whole week. How do you do that? I don't know if I could squeeze it in. And so my thought, or they said, wow, I have the time, but I don't have the money. Shoot. And I thought about it and I said, here's the question my brain went to. What can I do to help you in your life and business? If you're a good person with a huge heart who loves health and performance and growth and personal development, all the fun stuff, what can I do to help you in your life and business so that you can get more free time, have enough money to live the life you want, and you can come do cool stuff with us around the world? Like, I want a giant crew of people that when we land in a city, there's hundreds of us. We go out to fun dinners, we hang out, we travel, we go do fun adventures. Like, I want a whole tribe of us that just has fun kind of moving around the world together, doing cool stuff, doing all of what life has to offer together. And so I looked at that, and there's a few ways to do it. If you have a business, we always use this phrase that we learned from our business mentor, which is you need to be a business owner, not just a business operator, not just the one with the shovel in your hands digging holes the whole time, but you need to create a team and have some leverage. We've been successful at showing people how to do this. We've created leverage in our own life and our own business that allows us the time, freedom, and flexibility to do it. We've been able to replicate it in other people's lives and businesses and help them as well. If you're a business owner and want that support, reach out to us. I'd love to help figure out if we can help make that happen for you. If you have a huge heart, I'm dead serious about that. If you genuinely care about people, you want to be in the helping profession, but you want something with a little bit more flexibility. So you don't want to be stuck in the same place doing the same thing every day. You want to create more flexibility, more freedom. Then come check out Performance Coach University, and you'll become a better leader. You'll become a better person, a better parent, a better community member. You'll become a world-class coach. We're ICF and BCC accredited, which are the gold standard of accreditation, where outside parties have come and vetted our courses to make sure they're absolutely legit. The gold standard of the industry. and come learn these tools with us. We can show you how to improve your own personal performance, how to improve your team's performance, how to grow your company. We really put something special together here with genuinely, I'm telling you the motive. I think motive matters. Why did we do this? Because I want more cool people to hang out with and do fun stuff around the world with. That's one of my drives and motivations. What got you into it, love?
What
Besides
got
me.
me into it was, um it's so funny that you're like, "So we can do like, hang out with people." I'm like, what got me into it was I want more people to be like, join this force for good and making an impact in the world and the lives of others. I think that there's no greater gift than being able to give and serve and to make an impact on someone's life. I think that sharing that and being in community with people that also do that is a very special place.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I wouldn't have thought of like for people to hang out with, but as you mention it, when we are, I think every day with our community of performance coaches around the world that we train and we stay in touch with long after they've graduated,
Yeah.
it's an honor and a privilege to do this work, not only as a coach, but also as a mentor in the program to be able to connect with other people that just choose to live life at, like, again, think bigger, taking bigger action, making bigger impact to really tap into their fullest
It's
potential and help other people do the same. And I think for anyone that is just so activated and inspired and hungry to like to continue to tap in into their own potential is incredible. And when they help others do it,
yeah.
and that's like their gift, their superpower is to see the potential in others and activate that, to call it forth, to fully allow and help that person to tap into their fullest potential. It's such a gift and a privilege. And so, yeah, I think the thing that really drives me is one, just making an impact in the lives of others. And
Yeah.
then two is being a part of this force for good, of this ripple in the world and this community that's completely global, all doing it together. There's 8 billion people in this world. We might not be able to serve them all ourselves. And honestly, even if we could, it's so much more fun to share it with others because we all have our own unique gifts and voice and talent to bring to this world and to share with others. So to be able to share that with the coaches that come through our program is absolutely incredible. Like there's so many people when someone reaches out and they need help with something or some area, it's incredible to be able to not know that I'm not the only one that can do that. I actually have a whole community of people that I can also connect you with, that I can count on, that's absolutely going to deliver and serve. And that's a pretty awesome peer group that chooses not to just settle for status quo.
Yeah. And what's neat, something you just mentioned, it's people who don't get caught up in the chaos of the world. We don't listen to all the junk and distractions and messes. We're focused on building the life that we dream of and helping others do the same.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to phrase it, but it's like people who are plugged into the rat race, who are just doing the same stuff every day, calling it a different day. I think there was a quote that says, "Don't live the same day 75 years in a row. You didn't really live 75 years. You live one day for 75 years."
Mhm.
Like you're being busy, but you're not making progress.
Yeah.
And so we were doing a training yesterday, and one of the things I've learned is, mentor of mine taught me the trend is your friend. How are you trending? Is your relationship better this week than it was last week? Is your health better this week than it was last week? Is your wealth, your finances better this week than it was last week? Do you have more time freedom this week than last week? If all of your metrics are trending up, you're living the life that you could only dream of. If your metrics are sliding, or your metrics are wonky, and 1 week they're up and 1 week they're down and 1 week they're up and 1 week they're down, then you're just gonna 10 years from now end up in the exact same place. And I always,
Yeah.
you really have three options. You can do nothing and let life gradually erode, and you kind of just watch someone on that slope go down, 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 and eventually it's like burning dumpster fire of crap, and they go, "What happened to my life?" You watch other people they get all fired up and they try something for a little bit and it changes and then they stop and it goes back, and then they get excited and they try something, it changes and they stop and it goes back. They're inconsistent. So they're, up and down, up and down, up and down. And 10 years from now, they're in the exact same place they were 10 years ago. They didn't make progress at all. They let 10 years slip by without really doing anything. And then there's other people that every day, every year, every week, they find a way to get it just a little bit better. Yep. And you just see it. It gets better and better and better and better and better and better and better. And at some point they look back, and usually everyone in their life says stuff like, "You got so lucky.
Overnight success.
Wow, overnight success. Oh my gosh, you're lucky. You're blessed. Oh my gosh." They say shit like this and they don't realize, like, this person was on a path of progress for 10 years or 20 years, and look how it magically added up to this incredible life. Yeah. And the fun part is it's never too late to start. We've had people show up, and one of my favorite comments, I was teaching a class on relationships, and we have some gentlemen who are in their 70s and saying, I've been married for over 35 years. And when I heard this young guy was going to teach on relationships, I figured I could teach him a thing or two. And about halfway through class number 1, they've taken 17 pages of notes, and they're like, "Oh crap, there's a lot of shit I didn't know. I'm surprised it lasted this long." And I always laugh and they go, you young sir seem to have picked up some interesting wisdom early in life. And I said, I've studied this for 15 years. And I promise you, we've got lots and lots and lots to share. But something you said much earlier, it's not about just learning it. It's part of being in the community isn't to show up and magically learn something every day. It's to show up and have a group of people who are going to hold you to the fire so that you actually practice it.
Yeah.
You actually practice it. When you get in a pinch and you go, "Oh my gosh," do you take a deep breath? Do you find your calm? Do you get clarity on your vision? Do you get a big purpose why? Do you figure out your plan? Do you find someone to hold you accountable? Do you have a powerful peer group? Have you made it easy, fun, and accessible? Have you mastered your craft? Have you learned the lesson? Have you upgraded your beliefs? Like, we know the tools. The community part is, how can we help hold you accountable to apply the tools when it matters most? That's the practice of life. That's the practice of putting it into work every day. That's the practice that Amanda and I do every single day. We've studied and practiced relationships for over 15 years together, and every day it's a practice. We catch ourselves in a moment and go, "Ooh, I need to do my work right now. I need to apply what I know I need to do." And we do it, and things get better every day than the day before. So let's wrap this up. We've been chatting for a while. The thought here is, if you're in a position where I asked you that question, what's the biggest deal you could imagine doing in your life? If you have a feeling or think that we might be able to help you expand that and step into that vision and make it real, we love the opportunity to work with you. 2 ways to do it. If you have a big heart and you want to serve other people, go to performancecoachuniversity.com/apply. Check out Performance Coach University. If you have a business and you want to expand that, become more of an owner, not just an operator, just go to JerrickRobbins.com, click on any of our business programs and apply, and I'll chat with you real quick and see if and how we can help. I think that's all for the day. Thanks for chatting with me, love.
Yes. So fun.